Hey everyone, this is Angela from Angela Wolf Video, and this is Video Tech Tuesdays, where we talk about video tech specs and gear. Welcome everyone. So I am on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. My typical Instagram stream was getting all discombobulated, so I have two cameras today and I'll try to keep track of everything going on. As usual, during our live streams, if you have any questions at all, feel free to leave a comment. And if you are watching this not live, just use the hashtag replay so I know that you watched this separately and I didn't get a chance to answer your questions, and I will answer them either next week or just I'll respond in the comments depending on what works best. So if you are on YouTube, in the description, I've linked all the products that I'm talking about today. If you're on Facebook, I'll add it afterwards. And if you're on Instagram, good luck. I'll be sharing this on my IGTV, but I highly suggest checking out our YouTube page for all of the good details because Instagram just doesn't give me enough space for all of that good stuff today. So what are we talking about? As per usual, I'm going through more live stream stuff. That's what we did a couple weeks ago with microphones. Skipped last week because Apple had their big event and I really needed to see it. So, and I figured most people would too. So, skipped last week's. This week, we're still staying on the trend of live streams, but we're sticking with the video side versus the sound side. So, what we're talking about today is gonna be a little bit of an investment. But if you're doing a lot of live streams, especially live stream events versus just something like this where you're in your like one space, it's super helpful, and let's just get into it. All right, so what are we doing today? We are reviewing the Hollyland, there we go, Mars 400S. These are wireless transmitters. So basically, without these little doohickeys, you have to get a very long HDMI cable and connect it from your camera to your capture card or into your live switcher to put it into your computer and be able to do your live streams. Now, with the wireless transmitter, that means your computer is free to roam, which is perfect for live events so that you don't have to be stuck in one place, and also you don't have to worry about people tripping over your cords, which is like one of my biggest fears when I'm out filming, you know, having too many wires out, having people who aren't video people in the space and they're not very conscious of cables and cameras and tripods, and just bad things happen. So this wireless setup is really helpful. I've used it before and I liked it so much that I bought a second set. And so that's just my endorsement right there, but let's go through and review it a little bit. Now, Hollyland has a couple of different transmitters. The 400S, which is what I'm talking about today, is basically the same thing as the Mars 400. The S just means that it does both HDMI and SDI for connecting into your cameras. I thought that was super crucial because all the cameras I own are HDMI, but I do work with other cameras that only have SDI outputs. And instead of having to buy a separate converter, which just adds more, you know, the more things you add, the more chances something messes up along the way, right? So this way we don't need that converter. You can just click in SDI into the transmitter and you can still do HDMI out of the receiver into your computer. So I just thought it was great, especially for only an extra $30. So side note, I would absolutely recommend the 400S over the 400 just because, again, $30 to get that extra feature I think is absolutely worth it. Now, speaking of money, this, as I mentioned, is an investment. It's $569 on B&H right now. I got my first one actually last fall for Black Friday, and it was like $100 off. It was like it was around $450. Right now, the second set I got was $569 because I just recently bought it. It looks like that's what the price has been for the past couple months. So unless they're having another sale, that's probably what you're going to be paying for it. Now, what comes in the box? I'm trying to grab all my stuff for you guys. We have one receiver and one transmitter in each box. So let me grab those out, show you what they look like. They're small, right? Really easy, compact. Like I said, the one I got has both an HDMI and an SDI in. And again, HDMI and SDI out. So for the transmitter, this is the one that you're going to put on your camera. You're going to connect your HDMI or SDI into here. And then it's going to transmit to the receiver. And the receiver is what you're going to plug into your computer, monitor, whatever you're going to watch the stream on. So you get one of each. You're going to get 5 antenna, which is really nice. I just like that they give you that extra one. And so they each take 2 antenna. You just screw them in, super easy. And they give you an extra in case one breaks or gets lost, because I feel like little things get lost all day, every day. Then what they do is they give you a single power adapter. Both the receiver and the transmitter can use a power adapter. They only give you one. Of course they do. Then they also give you these little mounting plates, like, not that one. Give you this little mounting plate with a screw. They give you like a shoe mount adapter, which is nice. Honestly, the way I use it, I just use bongo ties and like attach it to the tripod, or you can, use this and use the shoe mount and put it on the very top of your camera, whatever kind of works best for you. And then it also gives you an USB 3 to USB-C converter. Not 100% sure why. I haven't really used this in conjunction with all of this stuff, but it's there. Comes in the box. Now, fun stuff about this. Some of the specs. I already told you it has both HDMI and SDI if you get the 400S. It transmits in 1080p, which for live streaming is fine. Honestly, 4K live streams just like they're not practical. They take a lot of bandwidth. And then you have to make sure the person who's live streaming on the other end has a 4K monitor and has enough bandwidth to stream it in 4K. And it's just like, and even then things get laggy, right? So these do 1080, and I think 1080 is great and all you need. So that's kind of my spiel about that. The Mars 400 has a 400-foot line of sight. Now, I haven't tested it up to 400 feet, but I've done about 200 and it's fine. Again, with that line of sight, it works. It's when you kind of get into somewhere like in 2 different rooms or like really far away from each other and like you can't really have that line of sight, and then the transmitter is a little like funky. So just keep that in mind depending on how far away your camera and your receiver are gonna be. They use in addition to the AC adapter that you can use, they both run on L series batteries, those big ones from Sony. Now, one thing that they do, which is really nice, is they have a warning, and it'll give you about a 30-minute notice that like, hey, the battery's low, you only got 30 minutes left, which is nice to like give you that heads up so you can kind of switch cameras, switch camera angles, swap out batteries, switch back, do something like that so you got that heads up. I've used, I've transmitted on one of these all day for about, I guess probably like 7 or 8 hours on a single battery, and it lasted. But I'm always up for having extra of everything. So if you're looking at like a full day event, like maybe like a 10-hour event, absolutely have extra batteries on you and or have the AC adapter. Another really cool tech specky thing about these is that you can actually transmit with one transmitter to 2 different receivers. And this is really great if it's something that you want to be doing something in like a video village where you're going to have 2 different screens. Maybe you're not live streaming it, but instead you're having people off, out of the room watching it on different computers, or I'm sorry, on like a different TV screen, right? And so that way you can put one camera on 2 different screens, and that's kind of nice depending on what the setup you need. Another way you can watch these is by using the Hollyview app, and you can connect via Wi-Fi to the receiver, and you can watch what's being transmitted on your phone up to 4 different devices. So again, that's really nice if it's something that you're using this. Don't mind the dogs. If you're using this because you are trying to stay COVID safe, and instead of having everyone around a camera while you're filming, you have people in different rooms. You have people kind of spread out watching what's on camera on different screens. This really helps with that. Makes it just a little bit easier and less congested. Now, that's kind of all the fun techie specky stuff about this. And as I mentioned, this is my second set. I bought one set, thought they worked really well, and now I'm having 2 sets so I can use 2 different cameras wirelessly and set up roaming around while I'm live streaming. Now, there are a couple of things that do not come in this $570 package that I think are must-haves, and here we are. Going back to the batteries, right? So these L series batteries, the whole point of having wireless transmitters is that you can roam around and not be tethered to an outlet or to a line, right? So the AC adapter is great for your receiver, and that I think is why they only give you one, right? So you have your laptop or you have your monitor, and that's going to have to be plugged into AC power. So you plug in the receiver also into AC power, but your transmitter is going to need power as well. So I suggest buying 2 of these L series batteries for each transmitter you have. Again, they last about 7 to 8 hours. Usually that'll probably be good enough, but you never want to have something happen where, your battery goes dead and you don't have a replacement for it. Like, you need to have at least one backup battery in case it didn't charge fully, or it got dropped and it's not working for some reason. You just always backups. So if you want to get the fancy Sony ones, they're very expensive. Or I find the Watson on B&H works really well, and they hold a pretty good charge, and they're only $60 a battery only. They're big batteries. They cost a lot of money. So save a little bit and get the Watson brand over the Sony. Or if you want to stick with name brands, spend all your money, buy Sony, do it. Why not? The other thing that you absolutely need is an HDMI cable or a BNC cable, depending on what your camera has. Most consumer cameras are going to have the HDMI out. And so you'll need an HDMI cable. I got one of these fun ones that have like the little springs so that you can just, connect it. Oh my God, sorry everyone. You can connect it to the camera and it's not like flopping around. You don't have this really long cable in the way getting caught on things. So that's why I like the ones with the springs. They're little, but they can stretch. So it's a regular HDMI in, and then just look at what kind of out your camera has. The C100 has a regular size HDMI out. The 5D has a mini HDMI out. So you just gotta know what your out is. And again, or if your camera does do SDI out, you'll need a B and C cable. Just depends. But none of those cables come in the box, and you need them to connect the camera to the transmitter, and then you need the one to, you'll probably an HDMI from your receiver to your computer or to your monitor. So make sure you buy your cables. And then again, you just need a monitor or a laptop or your cell phone if you want to use the app, just so that you can monitor it. So these cables I bought are about $15 each. Very minimal investment. But if you add that all up, the two, batteries plus the cables, we're talking about an extra $150 on top of the $570. So we're looking at, what is that, like $710? Quick math in my head. Check me if I'm wrong. For the whole setup, basically. So, like I said, they're mostly plug and play. And I say that by mostly. It's one of those weird things that you just kind of like set it up. They find each other. The transmitter and receiver find each other, and then it just works. Or sometimes it doesn't. And you kind of have to like unplug it and plug it back in a couple of times, and then it works. I haven't had the problem with it going out in the middle. It's just like the first time connecting, the picture can kind of be a little cumbersome. And I don't know why. It's one of those things that like, you just got to try it. Plug it in, plug it, unplug it, plug it in, turn it on, turn it off. And then once it starts receiving the picture, it seems to work pretty seamlessly. And as I mentioned, it's just a really great way to connect to a monitor or your laptop without having those extra cables around. Something to be mindful of is that typically HDMI connections do have a tiny bit of a lag. It's something I haven't really noticed too badly. Honestly, like if I've used HDMI in to a Zoom call and then also plugged in a microphone, and the sound and video sunk up fine. It's just something to be aware of, that SDIs typically don't have that same lag that an HDMI will. But I don't think that's a transmitter issue. I think that's just across the board with HDMI cables and inputs, outputs. Just as a heads up for anyone who needs to know that, or is like really something that like needs to be right on time. Again, it's something that I've been able to sync up the audio no problem, and so it hasn't been a problem for me. Another thing you can do, of course, because if you're using the HDMI features and you're worried about lag, is that you can just plug in whatever audio you're using into the camera, and the HDMI feed will feed both the audio and the video out. So you can also do that so that whatever video feed's coming from the HDMI, the audio feed's going that way too, and then they're sunk up. So this is a pretty simple setup. There's a lot more expensive setups you can do with a lot more cameras. Teradek's pretty standard in the industry. But if you're just doing a 1 or 2 camera live stream every once in a while for some live events, don't spend thousands and thousands of dollars on a Teradek. You can get this setup for relatively cheap, right? I know, still an investment, but that's what video is, right? So that is pretty much everything I wanted to talk about for my review for the Hollyland Mars 400S. They have different channels. They have an LED screen. They're pretty, like I said, pretty easy to use. Just kind of set it up, tweak it a little bit until it figures out, oh, right, I want to be on today. And then you're good to go. Now, if you have any other questions for me, please message me or leave a comment below. If you want to do a video project and you don't know where to get started, give me a call at bit.ly/callavv. It's in my bio in Instagram or on the screen if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. Give me a call. It's a free 15-minute analysis call about whatever your project is, and I can give you a scope of like what it looks like to actually put that together, how many people you're going to need, all that good stuff. Or if you're not quite there yet, feel free to download my checklist at bit.ly/AWV checklist. That's a free download. Check it out and it'll go through all the stuff that you need for starting a video project. So super, super simple. Just take that download. It'll help you from like your pre-production, pretty much your pre-production through pre-production of your concept and what you're going to need, who you're going to need to pull together, and what is going on with your video project. So please check that out. It's absolutely free. And until next time, I'll be back here next Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Please send in any questions or comments. We'll be happy to go over whatever your video tech questions are. So have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time.